Listen!
Welcome to this week's podcast of We Know Nothing, a video game podcast. If you like us, hit us up on Facebook at knownothingpc.com. No,
No. Facebook.com/knownothingpc.
that'd be the one. Or
Matt, what's the
follow,
email?
or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/knownothingpc or email us at knownothingpc@gmail.com.
You're going to say .com again. He knows it.
I'm winning today, needless to say.
Winning.
I'm constantly winning.
Duh.
I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to start out with what I've been playing this week instead of asking you guys first, because you guys are a bunch of faglets. I have finished Borderlands, all the DLC and everything, over the weekend. Picked up Borderlands 2 on Tuesday when it came out. I've been playing that a lot. I'm not too far into the game, but I do have multiple save files to see which class I ultimately want to play and beat the game with first. And then logged on WoW for a little bit to try out the scenarios, and also been playing a decent bit of League of Legends as well.
We'll get to Borderlands and WoW later, but what'd you think of our playing new heroes this week? That's what I meant to ask.
Nah, last week Varus was free all week, so I didn't play a single game last week that was not Varus, and this week so far, since they changed the champions, I've played the ones that I have played before. Because all the ones that are free this week anyway, I have literally every single one that's on the free rotation. So nothing new coming out of me this week, most likely.
Got it.
What about you guys? What have you guys been playing?
Basically more of the same. I've been looking at Smite a little more. It's the MOBA that you kind of follow your character around. It's looking better than I first liked it. I still have more problems with it. Mainly just picked up Outland a little bit more. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Again, played more of the scenarios, played a little bit of LoL, but nothing too new this week.
Seth?
I've been heavy on Xenogears this week, and I realized that it's just a movie at this point. I'm waiting for the point to where they'll actually be free roam, and I'm about 22 hours in and I don't see it. So, but I'm patient. I'll beat it. Not much for the iOS. I don't know. WoW, definitely a lot more WoW. I'm doing a little more preparation than you guys. I've been on a lot more. I haven't seen you guys on the last few days, so. But
Really?
aside from that, nothing else new. I haven't seen anybody on.
'Cause
Yesterday, nobody was on.
I've acquired like 8,000 to 9,000 more honor than I've had previously.
How much gold do you got?
Lower amount, because I'll go into my investments off the podcast, but I invested poorly.
You always
all.
do. Oh, and speaking of WoW, I might as well troll now. So I got my first bindings 2 weeks ago on my mage.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you this week I got the Eye of Sulfuras to drop. So I only got one more. I can't do anything with it, but a drop for my mage. So yeah, I'm just hoping for the other binding to drop, so I can troll you and everybody with Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker.
You better enchant it with something sweet like Spirit.
I think Fiery Weapon is the most appropriate,
Why it doesn't glow?
just because.
Just because. I guess we'll start off with the podcast now. Tokyo Game Show has been happening this week. New PlayStation 3 model is official, and it has been announced. It's smaller, packing more hard drive space, but yet it's the same price. Steven, Sony fanboy over here, what do you think?
Well, I forgot to touch on this when I was talking about the games that we've played, but by calling us faglets at the beginning, I don't think we're really going to go for mass appeal that way. Just saying. Basically,
Fags ain't listening to us.
Basically, just to touch on it really quick. I mean, it's a good way for anyone to make money. If Microsoft releases a new one, can't bash them. And Sony announced that they had that big loss this last quarter, so it's not a bad thing. I wish I saw more going towards the next gen. That's my only concern. But, I mean, it's a way to make money. Microsoft does the same thing. Everyone does it.
Good, good. What do you think about like the remakes of consoles in general, not just with this specific one? I mean,
I
I
Sorry, I was gonna say as long as it's to the benefit of the gamer, I've got no problem with it. So like this one gives us it's smaller, it's got more hard drive space, whatever. That's fine. The models I had an issue with was when it went from backwards compatibility to no backwards compatibility. But since we're not going to get any more of those back,
hmm
that's kind of a step in the wrong direction in my opinion. But anything that just basically improves it or gives us more of a benefit, I'm all for it, and I'd be willing to spend the money for it. So it's a win-win.
Why would you though? Because like this is my problem with it. I always buy the console when it first comes out, and I keep that for the whole life cycle. And being so close to the end of the life cycle, you're putting out a brand new PlayStation. How many people are actually gonna buy it?
Well, this is also for people who have a problem with hardware. And I mean, people still buy PlayStation 2 games. There's a whole market that's not us that I fully acknowledge that I don't understand. But quite frankly, if something goes wrong with that PlayStation, I'll just pick up one for $250 that's got, you know, triple my space. So I'm or quadruple even. So really, you would buy it if there's a hardware issue, or you would buy it just if you feel like you need the more space.
I think it's smart personally because when it comes to new gamers, every, this makes sense. Every year, there's a whole bunch of group of new 13-year-olds who don't have a PlayStation 3. You know, as far as people who keep it for the whole life cycle, sure. But we have a lot of new gamers entering the market because of, they hear about Modern Warfare, so now they're buying, a PlayStation 3 or Xbox for that game specifically because all their friends play it, even though may not be a gamer. That plus having new age gamers all the time, I think it's very smart. My problem with this decision is I think Sony should have bundled it a little differently. I know they have a Uncharted bundle, but I would have liked to see it maybe integrate a little more. Maybe have like a Vita bundle, or I know their 3D TV bundle. Like I think they could have did a little more with it instead of just kind of saying, "Hey, here's a new one at the same price."
All right. Last point, real quick on this one. Classic white option is available in Japan only. What do you guys think about?
They always get exclusives. I mean,
So
there's no big deal with that. I mean, I don't mind the black. It's fine.
sells a lot more over there. At least higher percentage of gamers have it. So why not give them extras? They get a lot of games we don't even get. So can't really fault them for giving them. They're still on the cutting edge. So.
All right. Capcom warns fans to keep expectations in check for a new Mega Man game. It is Mega Man's 25th anniversary coming up this year. So, do you think this is plans for a new Mega Man game to come out? I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. I've never played any Mega Man games, so you guys are definitely more the experts on this topic than I am.
I think we're not going to see anything. I think they're telling people now you're not going to see anything after 25 years. I think the big reasons are they're not in mid franchise. They had Matt, you don't know anything about it, but they had like the Mega Man franchise and they had the Mega Man X franchise and they had the Mega Man, you know, Battle.net franchise and then they had the Zero franchise. They just don't have a new one. And they say they're in development, so I'm guessing for something big. I'm guessing they just don't want to say that they want to release something new too early.
No, first, it's not Battle.net, it's Battle Network, just to correct you.
Hey,
Because,
I'm thinking of the Rockman.exe, the
no, yeah,
Japanese
whatever.
translations.
Who
Whatever.
cares? I think they're just looking at probably a new 3DS game or something small. When they say keep expectations in check, they mean they're not going to release a whole big thing. They might release a 25th anniversary disc that might have, the 8-bit 1 through 10s, because they just recently released 9 and 10. So, personally, I think Mega Man should go away for the next 3 or 4 years. Wait till the next gen console and maybe possibly the next handheld. And I think he can make a strong return. You see Sonic keeps popping this up every 2 or 3 years, and it's too much. It's dead in the water. Mega Man's pretty dead, so I think at least keep him a couple years away for nostalgia reasons, and then you can bring him back strong.
Well, if they're not doing what they did with Sonic, and Sonic, he has his own Olympic game and he's competing with Mario. I think they're smart by he hasn't been in a lot, and I do agree with you that I think he's going to be. I think he's definitely meant handheld. Sonic, or Mega Man is now like the handheld. You could still play the platformers or different games like that in handheld. So I gotta agree with you there.
All right. Maybe I'll pick it up if it ends up coming out with like re-releases or something on a handheld. I still have my DS, the original DS.
I think we'll
Some
see a re-release. I really do.
Yeah, I think that's all the announcement is. They're going to say we're going to have, the Mega Man collection or the Mega Man X collection because they've done it before. Like on the DS, they released all the Game Boy Advance Zero games. So I think it's just something along the same lines. I think we shouldn't expect much from Capcom. I mean, Capcom's got bigger things in mind. So in terms of just bringing back Mega Man, it's not a priority.
word. All right, moving from Capcom to Microsoft. Microsoft has purchased website domains for Halo 7, 8, and 9. I mean, when Microsoft first took over the Halo franchise, they stated they wanted to make Halo into a yearly game like the Call of Duty, where they just keep releasing game after game after game. And what do you guys think of, without even like seeing the success of Halo 4 yet? Do you think it'll be worth it to make Halo 7, 8, and 9 and just keep going every year with a new game?
Well, I'm going to bring this up really quick. Microsoft does have to cover themselves. They want to protect their intellectual property, and since they own Halo now, they just want to cover all bases. So I've got no problem with them registering it. And in terms of thinking of a Halo 7, 8, 9, when Final Fantasy was released on the Nintendo, no one thought we'd be sitting here looking at 20 plus Final Fantasy games that have come out. 13 of the main franchise alone. So it's not completely impossible. Is it probable? We'd have to see where the market goes in the next 5 years, but I don't have a problem with them defending their property.
Seth,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I kind of had the same point. I think I'm going to squat on the name Halo 10, just kind of banking just in case, like they are. I mean, we see people do it all the time. Blizzard did Mr. Pandaria, which everyone thought they were trolling, but it was for real. Um, I mean, they're always trying to get these licenses because you have to get it early or else. I mean, technically, sure, if somebody does license Halo 10, they could probably get it because they could probably fight the license, but it's more of a headache. As far as the Halo franchise period, I would like to see. I mean, I think the same Halo 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to get boring. I'd like to see some spin-offs maybe. I know what was that Spartan one that didn't do so hot? Name
Which
was
one?
that the Spartan one, the Recon people.
ODST?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a huge, very popular one, but I think if they want to build into a franchise, they got to build into little side ones instead of a big one every year. But aside from that, they're just covering themselves.
So you think they should take the Call of Duty route? Modern Warfare, World at War. Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops. Modern Warfare 3, another side game, Black Ops 2. I mean, they're obviously not going to probably continue Black Ops, but next year's going to be Modern Warfare 4. Then they could go back to Vietnam, or that wasn't Vietnam. They could go to Korea, World War 2. You think they just take that model?
Kind of, yeah. I think that also they need to. I mean, because the problem is Halo's storyline has been like linear so far, and with Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, especially with Black Ops, you get a different kind of storyline. So I think it just lets the storyline last a little longer in such a linear type of genre or franchise.
What I think they're gonna do, because they've already, since they bought in the Halo franchise,
But
But
whatever. I don't care. I'm not in school anymore. I don't need to know proper English.
no wonder you don't got a job.
I have a job.
Not a good one.
Yeah, whatever. Uh, since they've bought the
Troll.
Halo franchise, the first game that they released was the remake of the original Halo, and now a year later they're gonna release Halo 4. I think next November they're gonna redo Halo 2, and then after that Halo 5. But I don't know where they would go after the remake of 2, because like a year after that it would still be too soon to remake a Halo 3.
Who knows? I don't think they'll redo the second one so soon.
I think they will.
I think they're wait for the next Xbox and they can do 2 and 3 at the same time.
No, re-release 1, 2, and 3.
Oh,
Take
all three
take
of
the
them.
same HD remake, except bundle it together. Not even redo the HD remake. Just bundle it with a new remake for 2. Reselling old content. It's great.
Way to make money. Do it however you can. Hopefully we
Hey,
make money on this soon.
hey, you bought Halo, didn't you? The Combat
Yeah,
Evolved remake. Yeah.
yep, sure did.
Can't say
First,
you're above the sheeple.
it's the first game I got 1,000 gamer score on too.
But here's the thing, though, because you didn't really like Halo 1 remake, are you gonna like the Halo 2 remake? Or are you gonna buy it?
Go buy it.
Probably.
Go
Ugh,
buy it.
you
He's one of those
disgust
people.
me.
Yeah. Moving on. Blizzard has announced details for patch 1.0.5 for Diablo 3. There are two main points to it. The first being they're reducing Inferno difficulty. For those of you that don't know, Inferno is the hardest mode on Diablo 3 currently, and people are just queuing all over the place that it's way too hard, and they just quit playing the game because it was so hard. So they want to reduce the difficulty, but at the same time in the patch, they're going to be implementing. Let me see, I forgot what it's called.
Monster
Implementing
power.
monster power. Yes, monster power. And that is, you can change the difficulty yourself to either be easier or harder. So they're going to take the current Inferno mode, you can keep it the same, you can make it even harder than it already is, or you can make it easier. And it doesn't just apply to the Inferno mode, it applies to every game mode from normal going up. So if you think normal's too easy at the beginning of the game, you can crank up the difficulty and suit your hardcore play style.
No, you're not explaining the benefits of increasing the monster power. It increases your magic find, your gold, and the items that drop. It's not just for your own difficulty or personal achievement.
I was getting to that, but since you're going on, go on. Tell me what you think of it all.
Okay, well, see, I thought you were going to switch to one of us because you never fully explained anything. On Inferno mode, their nerf scares me, and I'll go into this later in the podcast. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the thought of lowering difficulty to make it more widely available. Their explanation is so you don't have to make mandatory choices into the defensive tree, which I think is a BS explanation. You should have a good group, you should have a plan going in there, but it scares me a little bit. I'll go into it later. Monster power, though, I think is a good thing to fix it, and I do like the new changes in PvP where they're going to try to make it a little nicer.
Seth, anything?
Now I have a question. I'm pretty sure Inferno mode's just a harder difficulty, right? Are there any extra content in Inferno mode?
I don't believe there's extra content, but if you die, you're done. You can't die in an Inferno mode.
So the easier version of Inferno mode is just normal gameplay, right? That's what
Yes.
like my whole problem with okay, if you have content that's difficulty exclusive, I could see dropping the requirement, the difficulty requirement. But if you have something that's already available, like Inferno mode's a badge, Inferno mode's a new level of difficulty. So now what they're doing is they're nerfing the hardest level of difficulty, then adding a new level of difficulty. This doesn't make sense to me. Just give them the choice to play normal or very easy. I'd rather them go down than up.
But they still want people to keep playing their game. If they didn't do anything, patch this game at all, it'd already be dead in the water, and it just came out months ago.
But you could do something else aside from. I mean, it's the same content. Inferno mode's the same content, so you could beat it kind of with the same difficulty on normal as you could in Inferno mode easy.
I
It's
think,
just for those hardcores that want the badge of honor.
yeah, but
I
I
mean,
think they should.
non-hardcores you can't beat it.
We're moving on to Gearbox. They want to make more Duke Nukem games. Duke Nukem forever and ever and ever and ever. One of IGN's interviews with Gearbox, uh, I forgot who they're interviewing, but he said that he particularly likes the Duke Nukem series, and he thinks that Gearbox can do a really good job at remaking the Duke Nukem series and keeping it going and going and going. Now we all know Duke Nukem Forever was in production for stupidly long, and was likely to not ever come out, but they pushed it out and it ended up being a terrible game. But one thing I do know from playing Borderlands is that Gearbox knows how to make a shooter. And I love the Duke Nukem series when I was a kid, and I just want to know what you guys thought about there possibly being more Duke Nukem games.
I don't think it's smart to reboot this franchise just yet. You tried to reboot it, it tanked. I mean, most of the allure of the original Duke Nukems was the fact that you could get some pixely women naked, right? I mean, now that you can't do that because there's such restrictions on video games as far as content goes, you really got to make a dynamic shooter, and Duke Nukem's not. I don't know. They already have Borderlands. Why are they gonna? Why mess it up? It's the same thing as Borderlands. You have cheeky humor, you got average shooter, and no story. So
I mean, I agree that Gearbox could probably make a good tongue-in-cheek game. They could probably do a decent job bringing back Duke Nukem, but he's forever dead in his ways. He was an icon of the early to mid 90s, and that's it. He's not someone, because the game took so long to come out, he's not someone who's really identified anymore. And after the bomb of a game, I think they're just looking at it in the money making standpoint. I mean, as I said before, Sony makes money because it's a benefit to the gamer by releasing new hardware. By releasing a new game, I don't think you can bring anything new to the gamer with Duke Nukem. He's such a limited character in and of itself, and you already have Borderlands to cover that humor. I don't know. I don't think there's a way to win with this.
I don't think there is either, but personally, I'd like to see it just because I want to relive my childhood.
Well,
I
of
love
course.
I loved
You
playing
could have
that game.
once before it came out. Thanks.
Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah, I want a good one to come out.
Yeah, I want a new Breath of Fire game. It'll never happen.
Just wait and
Maybe.
see.
Maybe. You never know.
Square's got that, and the Square's got too much power. But continue.
Moving on from Duke Nukem to Borderlands 2. We're gonna move into our big discussion slash review on it. Borderlands 2, as everybody knows, just came out this past Tuesday. Great game so far. It was available on day one on the PlayStation Network. I'm a fan of downloading games, but games that would typically be released for the PlayStation Network or for the Xbox Live Arcade, not a game that's as big as Borderlands 2 is going to take up space on my hard drive.
See, but now you have the new model of PlayStation. Again, I'm gonna just hop right in here and just really interrupt you because I want to bring up the point.
Be
This
my
is a
guest.
this is a benefit to gamers. My only fault I have with it is I think it should have been announced further ahead of time, and they should have had a pre-order bonus in the PlayStation Network. I know they took pre-orders. I'm not sure if they got the extra class or the extra benefit, but I've got my computer's only mediocre and it's got a terabyte. We're looking at that's not going to be an issue for much longer, and I like that they're at least thinking about it and making it better for us and easier for us. So I mean, I don't see what your problem is with a even yeah, it's going to take a long time for it to actually what's it called to download and install. But with these hard drives they got in them, it's not really that bad.
But you're talking about your computer, you got a terabyte of space. On my PlayStation, I think I only have 60 or 80 gigs.
Yeah, well, if you get a new PlayStation, you got 500 gigs,
Well, yeah, that's if I want to buy a new one, but there's nothing wrong with mine, so why would I go out and buy a brand new one?
which is
Just to
why I'm
fit.
looking ahead, not backwards in terms of the idea.
Matt,
Okay.
there's no downside. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm thinking right now. Is what is the downside of? Oh, sure, if they had day one downloadable 2 weeks from now available on disc, I could see you arguing. But day one downloadable, like it just makes it more available to people, and so I don't have to go at midnight to buy it, or after work or something like that. I could download it overnight, download it at my convenience, and buy it at my convenience
You
instead of driving 20 minutes to go to the store.
you have
Um,
PlayStation Plus, which automatically patches and downloads and all that other stuff. I mean, essentially, you had to pre-order it and it sits there and you have it.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. I'm just saying with my current setup right now, it's not something that I would like. And then uh, you you didn't get any of the pre-order bonuses, which is something bad, which they can work on in the future and get that available. But you didn't get any of the pre-order bonuses. You didn't get the free Necromancer DLC once that comes out because you didn't get the pre-order bonus. You couldn't start the download early once you pre-ordered it either. You had to wait until the day it released and then start downloading it and installing it, which takes up even more time.
All right,
Not
so you set it
really.
up 6 o'clock in the morning. You go to work, you have your PlayStation turned off after the download's complete. You come home, it's done.
What
Sure, I
about
can't.
what
I
about
can't pick
people
it
who
up at
don't go to
midnight and play it at 1. That's.
what
I
about
mean,
what about people who don't have to work? I'm not thinking about just me now. What about the college kid who goes and wants to get it at midnight?
Well, you're talking out of two sides of your mouth then, and no one's taking that option away from them. But you can't say I don't like it for my current setup and it's bad for these other people for this other reason. It's it's good for you because you work, and it's good for the college kid because he doesn't have to go out. I don't know. It's just I don't see how you're creating this downside of it when
what if the
all it is
college?
is available to you in another way.
Yeah. What if the college kid doesn't have a car, Matt? How's he gonna get it?
Rides
Download
the
it.
bus.
Download. And the whole point of the pre-order bonus is, I think the biggest reason you see a lot of pre-order bonuses through GameStop and Best Buy is that promotes buying the actual disc, which costs them more money. So they're gonna give you more content to try and buy it that way. It just, I don't know. I don't know who ends up more, but it doesn't matter. It's just I'm floating here. I just don't
It's
know what
going
I
to
was trying to
save
say.
people money in the long run. It's going to save me money from putting gas in my car. It can save game development money by maybe reducing it by $5 online.
We're not making as many discs.
Exactly.
Well, I was just playing devil's advocate.
Now, they're also
We
what they're really trying to do with that is cut down on used game sales too, which is a benefit to the developer in terms of because they don't see any of the money after the second purchase. So if it's online there, sure, they can have it discounted online, and that'll still prevent the used games. Because in 2 weeks, it's still gonna be $60 on there, but I don't know. They're just
That
trying to look for other options.
Yeah, and they have found a few good options for online games too. Just maybe straying a little further away, but I don't know if Borderlands 2 has an online pass at all, the
No.
physical version. No,
they
because
have what's they
go
have
ahead,
what's
sorry.
called as a season pass, where I think we already talked about it a little bit, but I don't think it's what you're getting at. But yeah, the only thing online they have that includes the word pass in it is the season pass, where you get all the DLC.
Yeah, I only meant the online access pass for games like Madden or like when Mortal Kombat came out. If you buy it pre-owned, you can't go online unless you buy it, which costs $10 on the store. That's another
Hmm.
way to fight it. So I wasn't sure if Borderlands had something like that implemented, but you'll definitely see more of it in the future.
Yep, yep, yep.
Speaking of DLC, to help head
Sp-
along,
Well, I was gonna say something else, but okay.
go for it.
Oh.
Say something else.
I got the season pass. I bought it through GameStop, and they gave me a little code printed out of my receipt to redeem it on my Xbox. Right? I
Hmm.
go punch it in. It's not. They didn't give me a season pass. What they did was they gave me 2,400 Microsoft points, and they said, okay, now go download it. I didn't have to. I could have used those 2,400 Microsoft points on anything. I just thought it was a sketchy way of doing it. It's definitely not bad because I think I didn't do the math, but I'm just assuming it would be at a discounted rate because you're buying 2,400 Microsoft points for $40, or yeah, $40. No, $30. $30. My bad. 2,400 Microsoft points for $30. But
By the
I
way,
just
that's equal. $20 is 1,600 Microsoft points. Another 800 bring it to 24. It's equal.
wow. So they really didn't do anything with it.
No.
Well,
So how do you feel about that, Matt?
Yeah.
I feel
I,
cheated.
I wanted to hop on top of you before you finished your argument and felt better. I didn't want you to get all like up on yourself and then all of a sudden realize and make the big fall back down.
I feel
Basically, they
cheated.
just gave you money and said, "Hey, here's the DLC."
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's the same way on the PlayStation because I know I wonder if Xbox Live has the ability that if you put an authenticator code in to give you a separate download, or whether they don't even have that option. Like say League, if you have a special promotional code, you plug it in, you could get a character skin, or WoW's got them for the trading cards. Maybe
Mm.
Xbox doesn't have that capability. I don't know.
They do.
No, it does. It does
It's
because I've done it before.
DLC's just not out yet, so they can't really give you a download code for something that there is no code for.
Did you buy the season pass, Matt?
Yeah, I had to start up the game, and under the downloadable content on the main menu says Season Pass, and I spent the 2,400 Microsoft points to get it.
So it's just a two-step process instead of a one.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird and worth mentioning.
That is weird. I'm very surprised that I don't know. That just kind of boosts Borderlands numbers because some people won't even spend the money on it. They'll say, "Hey, we sold, 1 million season passes when only half of them really use it. The other people get Rock Band songs." Not
Yeah, but
really.
like Steve said, it's not at a discounted price. It's the same price.
Yeah, but once you got the points, you could think of better things to
Well,
spend it
no.
on.
The four DLC will each be $10, which means if you buy the four DLC, it'll be 3,200 Microsoft points. You're really saving money on the DLC. GameStop's just not giving you extra Microsoft points.
Yeah,
But what if I bought 2,400 Microsoft points and then bought the season pass?
Then
you
there's no
could.
point buying the season pass through GameStop. You just did it on your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of downloadable content from earlier, Steve, Borderlands 2 downloadable content called Torg may already be in the works. For those of you who don't know or just didn't pick up on it, Torg is the manufacturer of guns in Borderlands. You see,
One
like
of
when
them.
you pick, yeah, as I said, one of them. So when you pick up like all your guns that you get off of stuff when you kill them or open up loot chests and stuff, you get a bunch of different manufacturers, and Torg is one of them.
Do you wait? Sorry to interrupt, but off the top of your head, do you know what Torque specializes in or no?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I know some of them specialize in reload, some of them specialize in weapon zoom and different things like that. But sorry to interrupt. It would just be an awesome thing if you did know and to throw it in.
Yeah, yeah. But what I could see them doing with this is because the main story of Borderlands 2 right now is the president CEO guy of Hyperion, another one of the gun manufacturers, is the main evil guy in the game right now. So once you go through the storyline, I haven't done it yet, but I'm assuming you end up killing him, and he's done with Hyperion's out of the picture. I think Torg might come up and say, "All right, now it's our shot," and that could be a way to implement story into the DLC. But I believe it's been released to be about 10 hours of gameplay in this first DLC called Torg.
Yes, 10 hours.
10 hours, yeah. I think that's a lot for one DLC. I'm actually surprised. But what do you guys think of Torg just going into the works now, or already be in the works when the game just released?
I mean, I see this as a positive. I know I'm Mr. Hopeful over here, but quite frankly, we know that they're dedicated to this DLC. And it's $10 for 10 hours of DLC. That's ridiculous. We don't get 60 hours of gameplay from a $60 game most of the time. Sometimes we only get 12 or 15. So the fact that they're putting in all this time and all this extra effort to give us this DLC, I think it's a good thing, and I wish more people would do it. And just as a side note, I looked it up while you were talking. Torg makes explosive weapons, so explosive bullets, big beefy looking weapons, RPGs, everything like that. That's what they make. So I think it's interesting, to have a gun company that's focused on explosives be the focus of a DLC because things can get pretty dangerous, I guess.
Maybe they want to blow something up on Pandora, and you got to
Pandaria?
stop
What?
them.
Pandora.
I know. I was fucking around.
Yeah, you got Pandaria and Pandora mixed together.
Trust me, I watched a video on it earlier, and the moment I heard it, my ears perked. What did you say?
Did you just say twat?
What did you say? Yeah. My, the game developers always had something in the works before. I mean, they're already, Blizzard's already working on the next expansion when this one's coming out Tuesday. You got to be that far ahead because development times take so long. And 10 hours is 10 hours. I got to say it's good as long as it's straight 10 hours, not, well, it's 5 hours and another 5 on Game Plus, or, 2 hours main storyline, then 8 hours of exploring. You just have to be careful how you cut 10 hours. But that being said, Steven being the optimist, I'm sure it's pretty good, and it's only good for everybody, guys.
Just going off history, since I just finished the Borderlands and its first four DLCs, the first four DLCs for Borderlands were, besides, with the exception of one of them, which was like an arena, you go in, you fight 10 waves, and you come out. You go in, you fight 10 more waves, you come back out. With the exception of that one, the other three were exactly like the main point of the game, where you go out, you have your main quest line, you have a few side quests along with the main quest line. You go back, you turn them in, you keep going until you get to the end of, I guess, the mini story that the DLC would be about. And you continue to level up while you're playing it too, and you get better guns, get better loot, get more money.
All right, so what do you think about it? What do you think about it? It's already being in development, 10 hours of gameplay.
I think it's great just because, I just bought Borderlands back in March because I knew the second one was coming out. I didn't get it when it first came out. And I'm really glad I got into it because, back then I was kind of in like a game rut, would you say? And I didn't know what to do, and I was out there.
Yeah.
Rut was that, Matt? Rut?
What would you say?
See,
You said it too close together.
rut,
Yeah.
rut has double meaning.
See,
We'll tell
because
you
Yeah,
later.
yeah, it does.
We'll tell you later, Steven. Rut has several meanings.
okay.
But I'm really glad I got into it, and I think Borderlands 2 is already a success in my book, only playing a few hours worth, and I can't wait to keep going through and progressing and beating the game, and then eventually getting all the DLC. I just hope I don't tire myself on it too soon, and then the DLC is gonna come out in a month or a month, 2 months, whatever, and I'm into some other game. That's what I'm afraid might happen. I'd still come back and play it, but I don't think I'd be as amped up for it as I am right now.
Well, what it might do is bring you back into the Borderlands spirit and get you playing even more. That's essentially what they're hoping, and that's what DLC is proven to do. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how you react.
Yeah, just have to wait and see.
All right, so for this review, I know you got to do a review.
Yeah, buddy.
Do you want to just talk for a long time, or do you want to be asked questions on what you think? Because I know the way you work.
I'd rather have you guys interrupt me. Feel free.
And just ask you questions on what you thought about different things of the game.
Yeah, not just ask me questions, but interject your own thoughts.
That's fine, yeah, because I know you're not going to talk for a long time. All right, and then I'm just going to throw out these couple first points here. I guess it's the start of our review. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen things. What do you think about the upgraded graphics and display and everything like that? Basically, the look of the game. What have you seen of it, or what do you think of it?
The new look is great. The upgrade to the HUD heads-up display for those that don't know, HUD, is great. The cartoony-ish of the first one has been it's still there, but it's more refined and looks that much better. While there still are minor points where it doesn't load in time as you're going through the area, that's always going to happen. It happens on all three platforms, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, the texture issue happened in Borderlands 1 too. I'm not quite sure if you had it. I thought it was because I bought it and it's on my hard drive.
Hmm.
No, it's because it's just happened. And I think they have so many levels of textures to create the look that they have that you're gonna have that happen. I mean, that's a
Yep.
negative, but I'll hop in with a positive. They've got a map in the corner now.
Yeah, they have a mini map. That's the main complaint I had playing through Borderlands 1 when I first bought it back in March, was there was no mini map. I always had to stop what I was doing, press select, open up my map to see if I was going the right way. Now there's a mini map right in the corner. It has waypoint markers, enemy markers, everything you could think of right there in the corner. Oh my God,
No,
is it great.
no, Matt, you mentioned the cartoony graphics. Is that because it's cell shaded? And do you like cell shaded graphic games?
Yes, it's because it's cell shaded, and I just used cartoony because I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, but I mean, do you like that look? I mean, the few of the old remember the Dragon Ball Z games used to have in those fighting games?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I definitely didn't like it when it first came out with the Dragon Ball Z fighting games. I definitely liked the 3D look more back then. But now, I don't know if it's me changing my perspective or whatever, but I definitely don't mind it as much.
I think
It's
they
not,
do it in such a way that
yeah,
it's different. So there's human looking textures instead of cartoony looking people. I don't know. It's not cartoony looking people with cartoony textures. It's real looking people with cartoony textures.
yeah.
Now, you brought up the menu system, how you used to bring it up and bring up your map. The whole menu system got an overhaul as well, and this kind of rounds out the visuals almost. What are your thoughts on the new menu? You can, I mean, just to go in a little bit of depth about it, you can favorite items, you can mark them as trash, you can distinguish your backpack, which is very helpful. Your menu pulls up on the full screen, it zooms out so you can look at your customizable character. There's a couple of things about it, and I personally, this is where I'm going to disagree with most people. I like a separate menu. I like that when I pull up my menu, I feel like I back away from the game, takes me out of it for a second. I don't know. I sort of like a menu, but I don't mind this one either. What's your thoughts on the menu?
I like it because it also goes along with more of the upgraded feel. It doesn't feel like the same old from Borderlands 1, and I think I get the most out of that because I literally just stopped playing it on Monday, and I just started playing Borderlands 2 on the very next day. So it was like a big change for me, where a lot of people who were into Borderlands to start and beat the game when it first came out and did the DLCs and whatnot. It's been so long for them that they might not notice all the like how different it actually is. I like it. I think it's a neat feature. It's definitely nothing to be like, oh my god about, but it's different. I like in first person shooters you don't see your character, so having these customizable characters I mean, what's it even mean? Because there's really are no cutscenes in the game, so you don't see your character. You don't see your character because it's first person. So what's the point of having it customized? So the
And
fact that when you have your menu pop out, you can see it.
you also bring that up because I've seen a lot of some of the QQs and negative reviews that I read were based around the fact that, oh wow, the character skins, they're just new skins. People are upset that you don't have additional, backpacks, I'm guessing, or things you could put on there that's not skin, period. But it's a first-person shooter, isn't it? Like, why
Yeah.
QQ about that?
These people love their character creation. I mean, you can't get past that. Games are taking over where they're based off user generated content, so you're gonna see that in games. They should stop QQing because in the first game you could only change colors and you only had like what 12 or 18 colors you could choose from.
Mm-hmm.
It was so ridiculous. And I mean, I do like the new characters. I do like the new customization of it. And I mean, the only time you used to see it in the other game was rather multiplayer, which of course you never see yourself, so it's just kind of how everyone else sees you. Or when you die for a second, it comes out of your body. That's the only time you ever saw yourself, so I don't know.
Yeah, but then I totally blanked. Forgot what I was gonna say.
All right, well, what do you think of the characters themselves? What do you think of leveling up your characters? What do you think about the new skill trees? Basically, what classes are you liking and not liking, and what skill trees are you looking in?
I'll go into that, but it's really gonna bug the crap out of me that I totally blanked and forgot what I was
We'll
gonna
we'll
say.
do what we did with Halo 4.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
don't hit it this week, we'll hit
We'll
it
come
next
back.
week.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you'll be playing this game for weeks to come. It's no big deal.
The classes so far, like I said, I've played multiple save files. Didn't get too far into any one just yet, but I started off with the commando just because it's well-rounded, I guess, more my play style. I like the commando. I like the turret you can drop. It's great. You just run in there, bam, drop it, shoots everything while I run away and hide like a pussy. But I like the commando so far. It's definitely standing out as my favorite. But I have yet to try the Gunzerker, which I think might be the only competition to it.
Well, here's my thing though. You're so used to first person shooters, are you just not comfortable stepping into something that's not normally in the first person shooter? I mean, that was my problem in the first game when I first played the Siren. The other three classes, I mean, you use the explosives, I'm sure melee worked out for the one, but when you first play the Siren, her whole skill is about getting close to enemies, which is not my comfort zone, but it's not
Yeah.
what you normally have in a first person shooter. So you think you're just not used to it because it's not a norm, or do you think that's just something that I don't know, you just happen to favor in general?
Well, it's definitely since it's not the norm. It's hard to make it your play style if it's not out there in other games. So it's something you would have to try, get used to, and then ultimately decide if you like it or not. But it's definitely not my play style at all. Getting close. That's definitely the class I hated like the most in the first game was the Siren, and so far it's staying that way with this game as well. Gunzerker, like I said, is the only one I haven't tried yet. I tried the other three. It goes Commando, then Assassin, then this. I forget what it's called. I don't remember if it's a Siren in this game too, but that's the way my list is going currently. Uh,
I mean, have you gotten to the skill trees yet? Because that's where they really start to differ.
yeah, you get your first point at level 5, and I've only gotten the Commando to level 8. The other ones haven't even hit 5 yet, so I didn't even get their main ability that you get no matter which tree you go in. But I did look into the trees, and I definitely like the change from Borderlands to Borderlands 2, where in Borderlands, no matter what class you played, you had the same 3 um, trees in your talent system. Where in this one, each class has 3 individual trees in their talent system, and they all differ so much, not in a way that one's going to be more overpowered than the other, but it just depicting your play style again. For example, the Commandos, the one on the far right is survival. It's going to give you stuff like health, quicker shield regeneration, more like max out your shield some more, get stuff to cover up your turret like a shield and whatnot. Where the other ones are more focused on, running in and killing shit quicker. The quicker the better. Like one was just straight up gun damage increased. And the third one was more focused around your turret, making your turret stronger. I believe the last one is your turret got a nuke, which
Yeah.
is sounds pretty OP.
And you also got the longbow, which in that tree, which I want to go into, is probably one of my favorites because they had the longbow grenades in the first game. Basically, you shoot
Mm-hmm.
it and it drops where it is. That happens with your turret, so I do see this big benefit. And I just wanted to hop in really quick, and I'm again sorry for interrupting. But the structure seems to be that each of the classes, the breakdown of their trees is similar, but the trees differ. So each class has a defensive tree, each class has one focused on their own combat, and each class has one focused on their special ability. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So, I mean, essentially, you're looking at, in terms of an RPG, or an MMO really, you're looking at a tank, you're looking at a support, and you're looking at a DPS. Because obviously there's no healing, your shields generate over time. So, I can understand that from a structural standpoint. So, no matter what class you play, you can still play defensively if you like. So, I kind of like that because in the other games it's a little tougher. But that's just kind of what I think.
Yeah, something else I saw to go along in the supports, the commando support tree, and the one with the survival and health and everything. One of the last ones was you get to place two turrets down simultaneously. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, that's also beneficial because, like you say, you place it down and you run like a pussy. Now you can place down two turrets and run even quicker.
Mm-hmm. Seth, yeah, you've been pretty quiet. What do you think about?
Hey, I've been throwing some shit out there, haven't I?
For knowing nothing about the game, I'd say you're doing a decent job.
Who's also in
Ask Matt the
producing
question.
and talking about segues, huh? Huh?
Ask him a question.
I can't really ask him too much about questions because he doesn't know too much about the skill trees. But do you think that the skill trees differ enough that instead of having four different potential playstyles, you could have 12 potential playstyles? Meaning, could some crazy nut say they have a different playing experience playing through each class or each different skill tree, or is there still not enough variation in those trees? Because I saw what the trees look like, and they look pretty linear. It's not like, WoW used to have with talent trees or some other games like Diablo have with talent trees where you have like 1,000 different choices. So I gotta ask, is it enough of a change to where you could play the same class twice, maybe two commandos?
I wouldn't say two commandos, but like Steven said, each talent has three main focuses. One's going to be on your survival, one's going to be on the special ability that the class gets, and the other one's going to be on the play style of the class.
I think the benefit you're going to see is definitely in the multiplayer. And I'm just going to ask you really quick before I go into it. Is there split screen multiplayer available? I'm assuming only two player, but do you know?
I believe there is, yes, split screen, only two player. I've also played multiplayer a little bit with a buddy who got Borderlands 2 on Xbox as well. I'm
But
just gonna go. You want me to go in multiplayer now?
oh no, I was going to finish my point and you can go into it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just I was in the side I really meant to throw out. But I guess I'll just branch you into it. A part of the multiplayer experience and a part of the gameplay experience is that you can go, I think it's at the new U station still, where you can change your talents. So if you're
Uh,
playing,
they, they have a whole new station where you change the skins of your character, and you change your talents at that station now.
well, we should call it skill tree. We're calling it talents because obviously we're WoW players, but you
Yeah.
change your skill tree there. So essentially, if I start playing with you on split screen and I play crazy gun nut and you've got a defensive built person, like say your assassin is very sniperish, and I play your assassin on split screen, I can go ahead and I can just respec and have a completely different gaming experience. So it's not good to have separate, but it does leave you many options for different people,
Yes.
especially in terms of multiplayer.
Yes. Yes. In the multiplayer, it just kind of happened on coincidence. We were chatting on Skype, just shooting the shit, and then I was mentioning something like, "Where do I find this last echo log?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, it's a side quest. You must have not found it or something." He goes, "Oh, now I'm pissed. Now I want to find it." So he went and found it. We ended up finding out that we were at the exact same point. So he said, "Why don't we just join each other's game? We'll do a little bit of multiplayer, see what it's like." Multiplayer, the enemies get tougher. The better loot drops, though, to compensate for that. And of course, there are two, three, or four of you, making it easier to kill them, even though they are tougher. But one thing I didn't like is it goes off the host's save file, I guess. So, say I'm level 19 or so, and Steve, you could just get the game, you start playing, you can join my party, but you're going to join to where I am in the game. You're going to be joined as a level 1 in a level 19 spot, so you're going to get your ass owned. You're going to be getting one shot.
But
Or vice versa, I go back, I'm not going to get any experience, I'm not going to get any good loot that's my level by joining your game.
essentially, with a game like this, though, you could just create a new class at level 1 if I start playing.
Yeah,
So,
that's basically what we did. We said after we got done playing, we said, okay, let's just make new classes for our single player through, and then whenever we're both on, me and you will play these characters.
All right, and I do have to add that from what I saw, if Steven was at level 1 and you're at level 19, if he goes through certain quests and completes them, he could choose to skip them later on in the game. So it's not like Steven's completely missing out by joining you.
Yeah, he's not missing out, but if you do it the other way around, I don't get anything.
Yeah, and that's obviously a downside, but if you already beat the game or clear through the game, I mean, can you choose to be host or
I
join a
mean,
game or?
yeah, you choose to
Yeah,
join the game, and you say it's a complaint, but you're never going to join a level 1's game when you're level 20.
no, no.
So that's not a concern of you at all. It's just kind of something you're nitpicking.
Yeah,
Okay, and I just wanted to make that clear instead of, trying to make it seem like it's a big negative towards the game. It's just if I happen to buy an Xbox and buy a Borderlands that you'd have to create a level 1 or you'd be bored at the starting area, basically.
right.
So what do you propose as a fix to that? Because I don't really see any viable options.
I don't know really to say, but maybe something to do with scaling. Maybe I don't even know. Maybe scale.
There's no real fix because if you're level 100, I know there's probably not 100 levels, and I'm level 1, sure the enemy scaled down to level 50. Neither of us are getting a benefit, so the worst for the both of us.
I'm thinking more scaling yourself. Maybe bring the level one up. Maybe like leave him level one, but bring like give him a damage boost or something. And
Basically
help.
making the challenge mode
Yeah.
to level up. But the only problem I guess I have with that, and I guess we'll move along after this, but is the problem with loot drops. It's gonna
Yeah,
be you have to scale millions and millions of combinations of loot too.
that's
Plus,
another. It's an unless you're playing with people that you know and I guess trust in a way. Loot is a big issue with multiplayer because it's not like two of everything drops. It's still, you killed an enemy, it's completely random generated loot. So one thing that was happening was I'm more of a, even though I was still playing commando, like I said, I go in, throw my turret down, run back, and then shoot from like a mid-range distance. Where he's more of rush in there, go guns blazing, hope you win. So when we would eventually clear the area of enemies, he'd be right on top of them. He'd get all the loot and be like, "Ha, I stole your loot." So it's like, oh great, now I'm left out here with nothing.
yeah, I mean that's definitely a problem. They could implement a role system to make sure, especially like if he's up there fighting everybody, then Steven's a level 1 who runs up and ninjas, be like a loot box or something like that, or they call them.
Mm,
Uh, that I'm clearing all this content just so you could steal loot while I'm helping you clear content.
Well, the problem is there's so much loot that drops.
yeah, there's a ton. And another good point that I forgot about until we just started talking about loot is in the other game, you press X or square to pick up your loot. You hold it down and it AoE loots to like a certain distance around you. Now, if you kill a bunch of things from afar, you go sprinting in there. If you sprint over an item, it loots it for you, so you don't have to stop and press X to loot it, which I thought was a really neat feature.
Yeah, that's a good benefit. Does it auto pick up guns yet?
Not guns. It does money. It does like the ammo,
Okay.
everything besides guns and like quest items. You actually have to walk up to them, pick them up.
All right, so that's all in terms of gameplay. In general, I guess overall gameplay and design, it's kind of the same game. Is there anything new you really have to say about it?
It's the same game but better. The storyline, like we've said in previous podcasts, the storyline of the first game wasn't really that great. It was just kind of go kill this, bring it back, you get your quest complete. You had no reason why you were doing it, no reason why he was sending you to this specific area. You're just going to do it. And now they realize that they had a shitty story in the first game, that they're kind of re-bringing story from the first game and sprinkling it into Borderlands 2 as well, besides having its own story to tell. I'm just going to go out on a limb. It's probably true, so it's not really going out on a limb. I've already run into Roland, who was the soldier from the first game, and
Oh,
I'm
really?
doing quests for. Yeah, I'm doing quests for him right now at the moment at level 8.
Spoiler.
Spoilers. Sorry, I guess more spoilers
But
are
that's
coming.
because it's also because you're playing a commando.
That's what I thought initially. I thought, oh, that's awesome. I'm playing a commando. I'm gonna do quests for Roland, the soldier from the first game. Maybe if I do the other, if I play the other classes, I'm gonna get their, like similar role from the first game. I'm gonna be doing quests for them. But then I thought that's too much. Like four completely different campaign modes would just be too much work, I think. So I think they're gonna bring the other characters, Mordekaiser. I forgot the other two's names. Brick, maybe, and I don't remember the girl's name at all. But I have a feeling they're gonna come to the storyline later on, and I've already ran into like Ned from
Yeah,
the doctor dude, all the guy who sells the guns, Marcus I think, ran into him. Like
Zed, by the way.
Zed, not Ned. Ned's the
Guy
one
Yeah,
who
from the
pissed you
first.
off that one day.
Ned's it's like the evil doctor from the first DLC.
yeah. Um,
But
oh,
huh?
sorry. I was just gonna hop in really quick. My thing is, I hope it's four different people. I hope it's the same missions, but at least it gives it a different feel when you play through as a different person. For Commander, you're doing missions for Roland. If you're the Gunzerker, you do missions for Brick. I mean, I can see where they can do that, and at least it gives like a refreshment from the first game where I beat the game. I started my game plus, and then that was on PC. I got the PlayStation one, started my game again. It feels like it's the same game, and that's my only problem with it. It's a little repetitive unless you do multiplayer.
Hmm.
But you were talking about the story. Does it progress nicely? Does it have a nice flow to it?
Yeah, like it actually like you start out the game. I don't want to like ruin that part of the
No,
game, but
first five levels is fine.
first five levels, like the whole point is what you get from watching just the opening scene before you even hit start to start the game. What's his face there? The the president of Hyperion. He's bringing in what they call vault hunters to do the obvious hunt for vaults, because apparently there's more of these on Pandora, not just the one. There's plenty of them. So he wants to search the entire planet of all the vaults and make himself rich, big bucks, power, hungry, all that good stuff. But he brings in all the vault hunters. He has them search for the vaults, and then he kills them. You, whatever class you end up picking, are the one that got away, that survived the trap of him killing you after you search for vaults. And
Well,
now you see the claptrap. He helps you, and then you end up helping him to get through the first few levels, and then he helps you get to the first area where you meet the Roland,
so
which is where I'm at now.
essentially you follow the Claptrap the same way you followed them through the first game. It's just a different way of getting there. Because remember the
Yeah,
first game you followed them through. Now,
yeah.
sorry to touch on this point again, but the whole thought of having only Roland in your campaign, I think makes more sense than having all four. Because in your game, as Roland in the first one, spoiler to anyone who didn't finish the first one, you found the vault. So you're the big hero, you're the big person to go to. So that only makes sense to me in this other next game. Why have all four? Then who found the vault? There's no continuity in the story.
Yeah.
But I guess the last thing I want, last two things. Well, this one's really quick. How's the world? Does it? Oh, sick of desert by the time I was done playing Borderlands.
You start. You actually start out high in the mountains. It's very snowy. Reminded me of Wrath of the Lich King from WoW. And you stay snowy probably through level 6, 7-ish.
And
Like,
then it's all sand from there.
yeah, it's like, I mean, I haven't played too much of the game obviously
I'm,
yet, but
I'm trolling.
from like level 6, 7-ish, I'm only level 8 now. It's been back to the desert feel.
Well, I guess we'll have to keep that updated. And the last thing is, were there any technical issues while you're playing?
Not so far. I mean, just a few texture loading issues, but that's gonna happen regardless of platform, and it's gonna happen to you. There's no avoiding it.
Seth,
I gotta bring up the writing because everyone's talking about how smart the dumb writing is in this game with the cheap jokes
in
and
Boner Fart?
It's very funny, let me tell you. The crude
boner
humor
fart.
in it.
Anybody could think of boner fart. Hold on, people are giving way too much credit because this is what I've been sitting at ever so watching that dumb video you made me watch. Is that anybody can come up with a boner fart? It's like turd burglar. You just throw two words together. I
But
knew turd burglar would get Steven laughing,
but it's funny every time. That's the
It
point.
is. It is. It's still
but
funny.
it's not create like I have no problem with it being in the game. And you want to talk about Duke Nukem kind of humor? Absolutely, I get it. But don't give these people that much credit. That's the only thing I want to bring up. Is I'm glad you didn't bring it up. The writing, talking about how great the writing is, because the story, like my only problems from hearing your review and seeing all the other reviews, is it fixed what was wrong with the last game, and now it's a great game. So my problem is, where does that put the first game? Now you played the second one, now that they added all the things like a mini map, does the first one diminish, and now the first one's not that good of a game?
It's like that with any game. With
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed 1, the first game stunk, having to find 700 fucking flags, and you couldn't do anything.
But
And
there wouldn't be Assassin's Creed 2 unless people thought Assassin's Creed 1 was back. So does it diminish the gameplay for the first one?
no, it makes that. So now that Nintendo games have 4 buttons on the right side and a D-pad on the left, does that diminish it? No, it just is what it is at that time. You have to look at everything in terms of their time. Now, if he went back to play Borderlands now, Matt, what would your rating of the game change?
I don't think it's fair to go back and re-rate a game. It has to be rated when it's released or shortly thereafter.
Is it
Because
still playable?
yeah, it's still playable. I mean, I just played it in March, 2 years late.
Yeah, I only heard with the people saying the problem I have with Borderlands now is I do not want to play the first game because everyone keeps talking about the second. Oh well, the story was terrible in the first one. You had no choice in the skill tree. You had no mini map.
It's not. It's
Like,
not that it
like
was.
you don't understand. Like the fact of the matter is, all the good reviews I hear is how much it's improved, and I'm just kind of worrying. That's all.
Here's the thing. Game one gave you the options. Game two fine tuned them. So if you play game, you can still play game one, and you're gonna have a new experience because you haven't really played a shooter like this before. No one has because it's the only one really in this
Hold on.
genre.
Hold on. RPG shooter. How far away is it from Fallout?
A lot.
Very different.
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to. I knew you were gonna bring that up, which is why I said it's the only game of its type. It's basically Diablo meets first person shooter. It's not as opposed to Skyrim meets it. So it's a different style. So if you play the first one, you'll find the unique style. Play the second one, you'll understand what we're trying to explain. You have to play it to understand it.
And
Okay.
it's not that the story sucked in the first one. It was that the story was non-existent.
Yeah. As someone brought up the
Hold on.
story
That means the story sucked. I don't want you to spin it any other way.
story surrounded the gameplay. Now the gameplay surrounds the story. That's the
Correct.
only issue with the first one. So let's move on because you spent a long time on this. Matt, you want to give it a number grade or a letter grade?
You think
I,
of either?
I haven't played it all yet. I think I want to reserve judgment until after.
All
I
right.
beat.
So in 2 weeks, I'm going to ask you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll give you a number or letter or both grade at that point in time.
Well, here
It's a 98F.
yeah. It's a 102.8.
Just throw
All right,
something
fine.
completely so we don't know where it's coming from.
Right now, is it worth picking up?
Yes, definitely. I'd say Seth. I'd even recommend you go get it through Steam. You're on your PC even if you want to, or go get it on the PlayStation 3 so you can play with Steven when he eventually gets it. But
Or if I get it on Steam, I can still play against them. You forget.
Is it cross play with Steam? I think only Portals is the only game you can do it with still.
I know Steam's asking me from my PS3 login.
Yeah, well, they'll probably do that eventually.
But
I know they're working on it.
even though you haven't played the first one, I say definitely go out and give the second one a go.
It's
And
worth
if
it.
you and if you're skeptical and you don't want to spend that much money, go buy the first one to see if you even like the type of the game.
My bigger problem is I'd like it on PC. I don't think I'd want a console personally, and I don't think my PC can carry a new shooter at this point. For people who don't know, I've had the same PC for 6 years. Upgraded it.
Hey,
Yeah.
one last comment on that too. I saw a video that compared PS3 to Xbox 360 to PC for Borderlands 2, and PS3 and Xbox 360 were identical. The only difference was with PC, the PC was slightly better. It looked brighter, it looked more refined, and they also noted that the PC had extra settings. And if you had an NVIDIA video card with some program that they ran or something, you could turn something up even higher or other, and it just basically made more particles that you could have on your screen all at once. But they did note that it said if you max everything, it severely impacts the performance of your computer. Like you'll be able to do nothing else unless you have a godlike computer.
But I just want to slap that in the face really quick. Obviously, because the PlayStation's fucking almost 7 years old at this point. Obviously, it's going to play better on the new machine than an old one.
Yeah, I know. I was just throwing that in there as well before we moved on.
How about the low tier? That's what I'm asking about. Fuck the high tier. Can it play it on low graphics and still be playable?
Yeah, check the minimum specs.
Well, I was
Yeah.
giving me problems, JK.
Yeah, moving on to though. Time for
You
our
like that, don't you?
Yeah, I knew
I'm,
that's
I'm
what you were
fucking,
doing.
I'm
I
fucking
knew.
producing. I'm producing the show today. Okay, okay.
I
wow corner.
I
Pew,
love
pew,
their.
pew.
Wait, do it again.
Wow corner. Pew, pew, pew.
Have you thought of anything besides lasers?
Not yet.
Question is, have you?
We guys have got
Yes,
one.
I made a few.
Can we do this
I
week
made a
after
good
week?
vault one. I made a good Steven vault one. Steven's got the Final Fantasy sound.
All right.
Matt, what name we have to include or
Hmm.
sound?
I can't do that good though.
Fine.
You
Well, we'll
can't.
figure that one out.
Well, Ryan do it. He does it
Yeah.
the best.
He
Literally, it's
does.
spot on.
The
Except
grapes.
for
We have to explain what it is because if we didn't do it right, the grape stomping lady who fell over. Yeah.
it's the death noise for a lot of the classes for a WoW. I know female undead is a little bit higher pitched, like yeah.
How about that? Yeah, you just sound like an idiot now. You're just screaming in your apartment alone. All right,
But
5.0.4. Matt, you want to talk about it?
there's a lot of stuff that we can go with our Pandaria preview. But the first thing I want to start off with is scenarios, just because
Obviously.
we've already got a taste of it. I mean, we just got it came out on Monday, which I thought was completely odd and out of the blue. You know, you'd assume it'd be on a Tuesday with a patch or something.
That's why they did
No,
it.
it was just like I saw like a Facebook update or something from like one of the pages that I liked, and it said try out the scenarios are out today. It's like someone's trolling, man. Logged in, like no, for sure there it was. You could queue, but scenarios basically a replacement for like 5-man dungeons. You need three
No,
people.
you got to read Blizzard's official post. They posted about it today. They're not a replacement for 5-man dungeons. They're a
That's
replacement for group quests. That's their argument.
Yeah, whatever. It's not group quest because you're not out in the world doing something. You're queuing for it. It's a separate instance, in my eyes. I don't care what the hell they say. They can say whatever they want. They're liars. It's not. It's not a replacement for 5-man dungeons. It's an alternative.
That's a good word, and I think the fact is you're not going to get good enough loot in scenarios. That's going to bring up the rates. You need the 5-man dungeons and the heroics.
Yeah, it's an in-between step for, I guess, players who are more casual and not as skilled at the game, who can go right from dinging 90 to right into heroics as soon as you get like the minimum tier gear number score, whatever.
Everyone's going to be able to do that now. Well, wait on that one. Sorry. That's something I'm mad about, but go on.
Yeah, but I think it's just like an in-between step for the not as skilled players to get better gear to help carry them through the heroics. It's just another step that they're going to keep adding, another tier to the game that they're going to keep adding.
I think what else it does is it gives diversity, a little bit more diversity on end game too. Because I level one character up to level 90 at this point, and I go through all the dungeons and get geared. I now have to run through all the same dungeons just to get justice points, maybe to get geared, or I run the same 3 dungeons for justice points instead of running, a ton of scenarios. Plus, it gives Blizzard an easier opportunity to release more content. Small content, but it's got to be big.
I see the benefit of it, and I see why they put it in there, but I don't really see myself sticking with them past 5.1 or 5.2. So I mean, they're like Seth said, they're good alternative to Valor points, but I don't know. Past the first 3 months, they're not going to be too useful.
Well,
Something I just thought about too. I remember reading earlier that they're not doing as much phasing as they used to. So they're still going to have phasing in Pandaria, but it's only going to be really big, major phasing changes. And you can still see people that are in a different phase than you. So they're kind of fixing that problem that they had with it. But you're not going to have phasing in every single area and multiple areas in a bigger area in itself. They're only going to have a few, phasing things that are
plus,
big and major. And then I think scenarios is a way to get around that because scenarios are going to have a big major event, kind of like, destroying Theramore.
yeah, and now Theramore is phased differently. I just wanted to throw that in. I know Steven had a different point, but that still has a phase to it. But you're not constantly going back and forth and just changing the different zones. You go through an actual foreseeable event to phase it.
And they fixed phasing now. You can see other players even though they're in a different phase. They finally.
You already said that.
I like just said that.
Well, I've been half paying attention because you had me do other things really quick, so I just kind of tuned out. But I guess we'll talk about the new dungeons and scenarios. I'll go on to dungeons in general, just the looks of them in challenge modes. What do you think of the new dungeons, Seth?
I don't know. They're okay. Like, nothing really excites me. I don't like that they rehashed old content again, as far as we're doing Scarlet Monster and Skullmance. I just it's hard for me to get into the instances because I don't or five mans, whatever you want to call them, dungeons, because I don't know what the story's about yet. Like you kind of got to see a build before, you got to see, Theramore, and that kind of helps with scenarios too. Theramore, you see what the build's about, you know, for all the Cataclysm builds, it has something to do that's going to end up with Deathwing in the end. And now it's just hard for me, like, to get invested in these instead of just seeing them as boss fights.
So you don't want to sit on the roller coaster. You want to just know what the ending is.
No, it's not. But I don't want to have an input yet because I don't know where we're going. So I don't want to say it's good or bad because, again, I do like that. I like seeing the build, but I can't yet see the build, so I don't want to comment on it.
Matt,
A lot of the people like Scarlet Monastery was one of like everybody's favorite dungeon, so isn't it sensical to remake that so it's current
Same
content?
reason why we're not making a Final Fantasy VII remake. We'll bring it up in every podcast we talk about, just because we can. Same reason. Why? Leave it as it is. Leave it where it should be. Done.
But not only did they make it into a heroic and revamp it, they changed the lower levels too. It's not 4 dungeons anymore, it's 2.
Yes. So now it's a dungeon people won't even like
You
because
don't
you
you don't know that.
you don't have Fairbanks anymore.
they redid ZG and people seem to kind of like going back to the troll stuff.
Well,
So
ZG didn't change that much. I have to say there's a much bigger change in the new because I ran the Lobby versions because I did transmog my shoulders to what looked cool, and then they hot patched it. So, but I
well,
mean, they're completely different stories that have to do with where we're going. Like they don't have to do with old content anymore. It's all new content. With Skullmans.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that though. Like I said, the hopeful gamer, as I said earlier, but I'm looking forward to seeing the new stuff and the new world in general. I mean, we've been stuck with medieval since 2005, 2006, whenever this game came out. So we're finally getting a different side of it. It's kind of like a new group seeing something. I mean, we saw little bit of it with Burning Crusade. That was
I was
definitely
gonna
one of my
say
more favorite ones. But we
we
haven't
had
seen
we
it
had
since then.
aliens.
I mean, Dalaran, we've known has been the same looking. Haven't seen anything new in Cataclysm, so it's kind of like refreshing, like Burning Crusade was. My problem is the difficulty of heroics is too easy now. They made it so heroics are basically the way to get gear instead of making it a difficult thing, making it heroic. I mean, I can see where they're coming from, having no level 85 dungeons, just having the heroics be that, but I don't know. I feel like they need more of a challenge with a positive benefit in terms of like gear.
You got different ways to go for challenges.
What do you mean?
You got scenarios. You got LFR. You got challenge modes. You can find your challenges elsewhere. I think the fact that they added so many tiers of content that they had to take one away, it just made sense for them. Why develop a level 85 instance then an 8 or well 90 then 90 heroic if they're essentially going to have the same stuff, just different loots and more hit points?
Hmm.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it makes sense to me. If if they're going to do it for LFR, if they're going to add 2 tiers there, I don't want this to be a 1,000 tier game either, to where I have to climb 1,000 tiers to get the top level gear. That's not what they're looking for either.
I
Well,
think Steve's more mad about the difficulty aspect of it. Not that the level 90 normals are missing. It's that there's no difficulty jump and that anybody and their mother's going to be able to just jump in and start heroics and succeed with them.
because I remember, and I mean, there's a lot of QQ and a lot of BC, I guess I'll use the word fags, kind of going on about, we miss BC, we miss BC. And this is the only time I agree with them is in terms of heroics, because how great did it feel to finish a BC heroic? I mean, I loved finally, because at first I was with a shitty group of people who couldn't play the game very well. I was a great tank, but we had a mediocre healer and one good DPS and two bad DPS. So we struggled through part of it. We, made our way through Karzan. We finally finished, or did most of it before we broke up. But then we did some heroics, and it was like a feeling of accomplishment. And we put time into it to do something good, and do something that wasn't possible before. So that's all I'm missing.
That's what I miss from raiding in vanilla and BC. That's it on a very much smaller scale because you're going from 5 people up to 40, and that's what I
25.
miss.
Well, no,
Well,
before it
it
was
was
40.
40 in vanilla.
I think they should have made it 20 people. I mean, I've heard them talk about it. It's just hard to get a good balance in there.
Well, and now they pretty much acknowledge they should have made it 20 people, but they're saying it's an impossibility now to reduce it again, just
But
how raid structures are already built around 25.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, you already have difficulty with heroics, so they kind of accomplished that. And I have a feeling these upcoming heroics are going to be painful. I've been reading the
I,
boss descriptions; they're supposed to be tough as nails.
and
Good.
and in your defense, like they were balanced. I think the biggest problem is it was hard to balance 85 dungeon and heroic because 85 dungeon was so easy, but then look at BC. At BC, it was hard to balance because even in top gear, heroics weren't easy. And then you look at what's it called, Cataclysm, and then we face roll heroics as soon as we get one tier of gear above it. Once Fireline comes up, heroics are a joke. So it was an impossible balance, and they just kind of dropped along the wayside.
Well, my problem is when they made the new heroics, they made them easy. They made them as easy as the old heroics. I mean, I'm sure part of it's because of item level, but you do one of the new heroics. I haven't wiped in I can't remember when.
When
So,
they first came out, they're hard.
well,
I
that
mean,
that's mechanics, but I mean, once you have the gear, it should still have some level of difficulty to it. But they're making Valor points so easy to grind out right now, just because of the scenarios and everything. I just wish they had some other benefit. And there's one thing I will touch on. They do have elite gear, which is a step up from heroic, which is finishing something with a special thing. So basically, killing out of the group of four people, killing this guy last, the toughest one, and it drops a higher level of gear. I do see that being beneficial, but you kind of need groups for that instead of just pugs. So I don't know.
I also
Yeah,
think it's
that
good. Go ahead, sorry.
that was kind of like what they were doing in Wrath with raids before they had a specified hard mode, like Lich King's Temple.
Ulduar?
Ulduar, yeah.
That's the main one that they were doing it in. But I was gonna say Lich King's Temple there. What the fuck's it's
Next
called?
Ramus.
That's
No, 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 no. Ice Crown Citadel.
Uh,
Ice Crown Citadel was the first one with a specified hard mode, whereas all the raids before that, when they were starting to implement the hard mode thing, it was you didn't turn on hard mode. What you did is you reversed the order, or you killed this guy last, or you
you
nuked
didn't
down
kill these people.
phase one quicker, and then you got an achievement to pop up for it when you did it, and that signified that you did the hard mode.
but essentially, I mean, the good thing about it that they have now is they don't have it for looking for raid for the raid bosses, but they have it for regular raid, and they have it for heroics. So there is heroic elite gear that drops. So in terms of the raiders looking for that extra step to say, "Hey, we're better than you," they've got extra gear to show for it. So I think it's good, and like I said, I agree with that part. It's just the difficulty in the five mans and the three mans that I have a problem with, because now I have to raid to have difficulty.
Or now, especially if you want to look at heroics, you're saying that the difficulty of heroics now I think is different for us personally as gamers because we have more people on a central server that we could play with. So I think getting a 5 man of friends trying to clear out a new bunch of contents or even challenge modes, it will be much easier than it used to be.
Well, challenge modes, I do love challenge modes. I think that's where my heart's going to be set this expansion. I know I'm not going to find new people, but I'm going to bug other people enough to at least get all silvers and start pushing for some golds. I know I'm not going to get all golds, but I
Well,
mean, that's
they,
like a
they
dream.
admitted that bronze you could pretty much do as long as you're not
Well, if you look
complete
at
moron.
they fixed the timers because when the first came out, it said, gold was 12 minutes, silver was 20, bronze is 25. Now bronze is like an hour if gold's 15. So I'm hoping for at least all silvers and get like a good 20-minute, 25-minute run on some of the harder stuff. So I mean, I like challenge modes. I know Matt isn't probably a big fan of them.
It's something extra the game. I wouldn't say I hate him, wouldn't say I love him. It's gonna be something I'm gonna try and decide then.
And it's something for hardcores as far as having a leaderboard goes, because the only problem with other kind of leaderboards such as PvP is people squat. I mean, people could always squat on the other leaderboards too, but like I don't know, I think there's less room to squat.
There's a possibility to beat them, which means you just have to beat their time, not you can't get a higher rating because so many people have that rating above you. Because that's the problem with the current system is that if someone's got 2,900 rating or whatever in the first 2 weeks, no one's going to be able to pass them. The next person's going to get, 2850. The next person's going to get 2820. So it's harder to get that 2200. With this, you just have to flat out beat their time. So I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's more like a single player feel with a scoreboard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the scoreboards, that's something that they're definitely stressing for people who do want that hardcore. And say you just want to get silver, just get gold. You get gold, there's still a place to go on the scoreboard. You just don't get extra gear for it
And
or vanity piece.
I said I was gonna bring it up later, and this is the only reason I touched on challenge modes, is that Inferno mode was nerfed. They're gonna nerf challenge modes. I got a feeling about it.
No, they are putting their foot down and saying they're not.
Well, they've said that about Inferno mode, and there they go going ahead and nerfing it again. Blizzard always nerfs a hard mode. I mean, I understand why they nerf end of what is it? End of expansion content, because that makes it so like you can't kill the next few bosses of the next raid and go back and visit and finish it. I understand that, but I mean, Blizzard's been known to make things easier to cater to more people. And so I don't see why they wouldn't have challenge mode say, hey, maybe you can get 20 minutes down instead of 15 to get that extra cool looking gear. If I don't get that gear because I'm not good enough, that's fine. I accept it. All right, I guess the last things. Sorry.
I'll bring up more. Kind of a quick topic, something I think is going to go live Tuesday, regardless whether you have the expansion or not, is that you could have any class or plays any race rather, including pandas, come the 25th. Additionally, they just announced that the battle chest is coming with the Wrath of the Lich King, so people are going to have a lot of content they get pretty easily. I personally do not like the fact that people could play as pandas if they don't have Pandaria. I think it just takes away from the value of the expansion. Anybody else?
We already went over this, I believe, in a previous podcast.
Yeah, but we're bringing it all together. That's why I hit it quick.
It's pretty much the same standpoint, I think. It's just a way for them to bring in more people who don't already play the game. They already have their current subscribers. If we get pissed off that other people can play pandas, it's not going to make us stop playing the game. They're going to keep us. They're going to keep us, and they're going to bring in more people.
I say we can get, if someone wants to play level 1 through 60 with a panda because they won't buy anything else but vanilla, who gives a shit, really? I mean, that has nothing to do with me. I really don't care. I pay for new content. I don't pay for a new class or a new race. I really could care less about pandas. I guess the last 2 points of the expansion, I guess 3, but we're gonna do this one really quick because we talked about it before. Raid Finder loot, really quick. Matt, love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Seth, love it or hate it?
Matt, are you hating the fact that they have Raid Finder or the loot style?
Both. I hate Raid Finder to begin with. And I hate it even more that
someone can't ninja all your loot. Oh my god.
Not even that. I think they had it good at the end of Cataclysm here, where like you're not seeing physical loot drop. You're not even seeing the rolls happen. It's just like bam, you have loot, or bam, you don't. So it's like I don't know. You just don't see the fairness in it.
How not? I mean, there's people. If I wanted my 390 weapon, luckily I got it, or whatever the item level is. Some guy who's won 4 of them already can't win another one. I mean, they won't impact me knowing someone else ninja'd my gear.
Also, you're kind of banking that everyone's dishonest. But if I'm running, I need boss 3 out of 4 for something, I'm going to pass on boss 1 and 2, which gives other people a better chance. I already ran part of just to try it out and see how it looks. I want a piece I didn't need. I would have gladly passed.
Exactly.
I do like that the alternative is they are giving you 25 gold for not
your chance doesn't affect someone else's chances. I don't think you guys understand the system.
Yeah, hold on.
25 people can win loot off one boss. It's physically possible.
But think about this. Before, the chances weren't always fixed either because you had a certain percentage of people passing. Now you don't have a certain percentage of people passing. So let's say 3 weeks in, you have a better chance than 1 weekend to get your loot.
Three of us kill a boss. 2 of us get loot. That's it. Or 3 of us get loot. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to bitch and moan because you got loot off a boss I want loot from. That's selfish and that's not seeing how the system works at all.
Here's my argument. Us 3 run it. Week 1, Matt wins a loot. Week 2, it draws. Guess what? I have a better chance of winning week 2. Guess what? Week 3, if you get it week 2, I have a lot better chance of getting week 3.
How many times have you been griefed week after week after week with a weapon?
A ton. I've been trying to get the staff forever, and it hasn't been dropping. I only want it for vanity's sake too, because I got a better weapon than it.
At this point,
I still want that blue staff.
At this point, you don't have to worry about it dropping. All you have to worry about is yourself. I don't see what the problem is. If it would normally right now in the raid finder, if you beat the boss, there's a chance it wouldn't drop at all. You're not taking that into account either. I mean, sure, 2 people might pass on it, 4 people might roll need, and you got 25% chance. But that more than likely that hasn't happened in many of the raids that I've been in.
I've seen a lot of people pass on stuff that they clearly don't need. And then it doesn't give you a chance for off spec either.
That was my one complaint I was going to bring up is off spec. I can see what they mean by if you want to do it for your off spec, you run it. But I'm not going to learn 12 new tank strategies when I just get all my new tanking gear. It's going to turn me off looking for it as a tank. Matt, I mean, you hate it, so you're going to just agree with us, I guess, right?
I hate it all.
But I mean, I do like the fact that you do get some kind of benefit. I can't run a raid and not get any benefit. I'll at least get 100 gold.
Yeah, you'll get 100 gold and you'll get whatever extra valor you get.
You've always gotten that gold though. It's just dropped off the boss
No,
itself.
no,
No, Matt, each
it's
boss is
extra.
25, a bag of extra gold.
Yeah. Which
Like
drop,
Besides, I
essentially
thought they
something drops at the end. You always get a loot after a boss. It's either a bag of gold or it's a loot.
and the boss has gold on him himself.
Yeah.
I thought they had taken
No.
the gold off of the boss.
Basically,
No,
you're just making a ton of extra money doing Raid Finder.
the only gold change they're doing is they're scaling down gold percentages. As far as if I'm a one person running old content, I can't get all the gold. That's the
Yeah.
only gold change they have. They're not removing it from looking for raid.
Okay, well, I guess the last thing to touch on is the whole continent of Pandaria. What do you guys think of the whole, basically we're going to say Chinese Asian feel to it? I mean, personally, I'm going to say, like I said, I like the change of pace. I don't mind the whole Asian culture. I don't think they're doing it to cater to China, no matter what someone crazy here is going to say. But I
Dude,
kind of
they
like,
are.
yeah, I know that. I knew it was going to be you too. I think it's just they're looking for something new. It's looking for a new gaming experience, and that's a prominent culture. It's been prominent since the late '80s. So why not just run with it?
It's been prominent and they want to penetrate the market, but they can't do it because they keep like Chinese government's crazy and they keep limiting what they can and can't give to their people. And now I think they're catering to their culture so that way they can penetrate the market and make even more money.
Well,
Hey, Romney,
conspiracy theories.
2012.
Yeah,
Huh?
but sure, 2016. I mean, that's a
That's a bit rough.
crazy ass theory.
Oh, I gotta say, see, it's not so far fetched. The fact that they're maybe trying to go slightly for a Chinese market, because to be honest, look at the downtime. We had Lich King killed before China even had the license to get Wrath of the Lich King. Now they already have the Pandaria license. They got it maybe a week ago.
It's just playing catch up. That's
I
all.
think it's called like Friends with Pandas or something stupid like that. But regardless, not just ketchup. I think they really are trying to blow the lid off of it. Do I think that's exclusively it? No, because I think the Pandarians were already Chinese in the first place, so it was just a natural place for them to go. Plus, there's going to be a lot of later content that doesn't have to do with it. There's talks of raids that have to do with Orgrimmar and things like that, and we already
Spoiler.
destroyed their more. We don't know if we're raiding Orgrimmar, but we know we're
Oh,
going to
you
kill
don't?
somebody. No, we don't know
You don't know
because
that you're rating underneath. Okay, never mind then.
Blizzard's official post was in order to obviously Grosh, everyone knows at this point, spoiler alert, is going to be the final boss. Now they said you only got two ways to get a guy like that. You could either lure him out or invade his own city. And they actually said it in reverse order. So, you could either fight him in his own city or you could lure him out somehow.
They already said it was an Orgrimmar, though. I think it's underneath Orgrimmar. Matt, do you remember hearing that?
I remember hearing that, yes.
Yeah, it's a raid underneath Orgrimmar.
Plus, it's so early. I mean,
Yeah, we're supposed
I
to have a
don't know.
water raid in Cataclysm, so I said,
Is it really so early though? I mean, we've had the current Dragon Soul content for almost a year now. It's been
But
8.
I'm saying
that's not what he's saying.
from beginning of expansion to end of expansion. I think we're talking about Garage too early.
Yeah,
No,
we
Like how
gotta see where all the pieces fall.
no, because I mean, before Cataclysm came out, we were talking about Deathwing.
But do we know the details of Deathwing and exactly how the raid was going to be laid out?
We knew that it wasn't going to be an instance in itself, and that he was going to be across the land somewhere. We didn't know
Yeah, but that could
specifically
have changed
where,
too. That could have changed too. That could have easily changed.
but it didn't.
But hold on. What are all the things that changed in a while? Because this is a topic I wanted to hit up on. Probably the last topic we'll hit up on this week really quickly. What about things in games that they took out, like especially WoW. I mean, we saw a lot of different things that were supposed to be implemented that were never.
Emerald
Arena
Dream.
spectating, Path of the Titans, the water raid it even talks about. I mean,
Emerald Dream.
Emerald Dream is they just did away in a book. There's a lot of stuff.
Warcraft is a huge universe, and there's tons and tons and tons of places that they can go with it. But how long can they draw out a World of Warcraft before people finally get sick of it and be like, this game is too old and it's done?
I mean, we've got a ways to go. I don't think, in terms of their lore and stuff, they've got a long way to go. We haven't even touched on the Burning Legion or even the people above the Burning Legion, the Makers and all that other stuff.
The old gods. I think we're
I
going to see
mean,
Burning Legion, Titans, Old Gods, last three expansions.
no, see, because I think there's someone. Burning Legion is going to be second to last. I don't think we're. Technically, they're not old. Are they the old gods?
No,
I've heard them in reference to the Makers, people who basically made the orcs and the humans.
those are either well, there's a lot of different places to go. 'Cause I keep reading Ghostcrawler keeps trolling people talking
Burning
about
Legion.
lore. Burning Legion. What's her name? Queen Ashara. We
Yeah.
saw we saw our first glimpse of her. We don't know if we're gonna get dragged in with Nagas or her, but you include her, Alune, those I think are the Makers, and you include those into a kind of Titans expansion. Those are the Makers.
No, that's all too far ahead. We're just looking at Pandaria right now.
Pandaria, by the way.
Pandaria.
No,
Pandaria, get it?
it is there. It's pronounced
Tiny.
with there. Read Ghostcrawler. He keeps posting on it. Ghostcrawler has a Twitter now.
He says it's like bacteria. Pandaria. It's pronounced the same way. People were wondering if it's pronounced Pandaria. Like no, that was the question, Seth. Pandaria or Pandaria? Like bacteria, Pandaria. Or we've exhausted this though. Maybe we shouldn't talk about
I got
horror
a bad
movies.
joke. I'm gonna keep in my under my hat.
Yeah, the Miss Pandaria comes out next week, Tuesday, the 25th. I plan on
Ponderosa coming out.
I plan on getting it at midnight. Even though I won't be able to play until 3 a.m. because that's when
Go
the
on.
server. Huh?
No. Oh yeah, that you're gonna talk about. I want to talk about that too. Yeah. The last minute we'll talk. Last thing I want to talk about is this being released, and the first time they're gonna try it out. And they're keeping their fingers crossed at midnight server time, or midnight of the last server times.
West Coast.
You'll automatically get a quest that starts Pandaria. So Ponderosa. I think that's a really cool implementation. I think it means we may be able to see expansions faster or some kind of other content implemented without having to deal with all the headaches of everyone massing in one place. Although it will happen.
You think we see minor expansions like the first Guild War had?
Yes.
Okay.
I really think Blizzard's going to head that way after Mists. I think you're going to see class 2 raids all come out at once, and then they'll patch that once. Hopefully they just don't charge $40 for it.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, it comes on Tuesday. I'm gonna go getting it at midnight. Start playing at 3 a.m.
I got to
No.
check that got deposited yesterday, so once it gets cleared, which will be tomorrow or Monday, I'm buying it and I'll be all set for Tuesday.
Yep, I've actually already paid it off. When I picked up Borderlands 2, I paid off Borderlands 2 season pass and my WoW Pandaria pre-order. So I'll be getting that. I'll be leveling the shaman first for sure.
Woo!
And I'm excited. I'm excited. Hopefully, it pulls me back into the game because I know I've been largely absent from the end of Cataclysm.
Mage first.
Warrior.
And we're all working, or at least have school or work, so we won't be able to mass that quickly. So next podcast, hopefully I'll be 86 by. That being said, I got a lot of work, and I even got to do work outside of work for the next couple of weeks. So
Next podcast, I'll be 90, fuckers.
Yeah, you got
Wolfram
no life
Stop.
besides that. Get home at 5, play WoW till 12.
You act like I got a lot fucking going on, Steven.
I'm the only one who's actually does stuff at night. That's because it's work. But
I'm waiting for my last bit of cheddar to come in. I called some people, and deposited today, so I gotta wait a few days.
All right, we're killing time at this point. This
But
thing's got to be under 100 megabytes.
yeah. All right. Real quick, I guess the very last point of the podcast, not WoW anymore, is a wrap up. Anything else not related to video games you guys been doing, Seth?
Uh, pass. I had stuff I just completely forgot about.
Pass.
Come come back to me.
Matt, unfortunately, we don't have any time left. We can't annoy Seth.
Yeah.
Dance you're the one.
But I didn't watch it yet, so don't ruin it. I was actually watching it when you called me.
No way.
I was watching it as you were calling me to start
All
this.
right, that's enough.
All right,
I know
well
what I was
then,
gonna talk
all right,
about.
well then you know who didn't win.
No. I'm 20
You-
minutes. I'm 20 minutes
Did you
in.
hear me?
UFC 142 is this Saturday, guys.
152.
That's what I meant. Steven, you know my picks. We got, two schlubs fighting in the main event, two pipsqueaks fighting in the co-main event, then Britain versus USA in the third bout. A few other good fights. Cal Noak versus Charlie Brenneman, I think will be fight of the night potential.
No, I think it's gonna be Bisping Stan, and I'm gonna go with all the underdogs this card. Belfort's got it. I'm rooting for the underdogs: Stan, Belfort, and Johnson.
Look, as much as I want fucking Vitor to win, it's not going to happen.
Did you say Johnson?
Demetrius Mighty West Johnson, yeah.
Is that the,
I got
is that the
Jones, as
Rock?
much as I hate it. Jones, shut up. It's not The Rock. He looks like he's got fucked up ears. He looks really weird. Jose Benavidez and Stan. And did you say Bisping was an underdog?
No, Stan's the underdog. I'm picking all the underdogs.
Yeah, I only think I think Stan's gonna come out. He's gonna make Bisping brawl. So I think that's where Bisping's gonna fall for it. And Stan's brother, not a technical boxer, maybe the basics, but he's definitely a brawler.
No, Bisping's gonna take him to the ground. He knows he's got the submission game on him.
He won't take him. He won't take him.
Jones is gonna get clocked once and he's out. I'm calling it.
We're talking about the guy who didn't throw a punch against Anderson Silva for two.
All
and a
right,
half.
you guys are killing time. It's gonna be over 100
Oh,
minutes.
that
Hey,
was
it's a little more manly than Big Brother. I'm sorry.
I'd say it's about equally manly.
Plus, I think we gotta have a spin-off podcast already. We know nothing, a mixed martial arts podcast.
We got to make one work before we start more than one.
No,
Seth,
we-
you don't know enough about BJJ, bro.
bro. What does it mean?
Bro, you don't know what it means.
All right, wrap it up. I gotta
All right.
edit this shit down, and now I gotta listen to like an hour and 45 minutes of you guys rambling.
All right, if
No,
you
it's
guys,
about an hour and a half of silence. So.
if our listeners like listening to us bicker at each other and talking about stuff we don't know about, you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/knownothingpc. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/knownothingpc, or email us at knownothingpc@gmail.com.
Forgot about one thing. Check us out on Game Informer. If you came here from Game Informer, thank you. If you did not, what is wrong with you? Come here. Come to us.
Additionally, we'll have more content on Game Informer this week. I know Matt may do a write-up within the next couple weeks of Borderlands. I have a mini 4-part series I'm going to throw in. I told Steven to be up a little earlier than this podcast. I'll try and get it done this weekend. 4-part series on the women of video gaming.
Oh,
I already know what all 4 parts are.
Oh my! If I knew that was it, I'd say no. Plus, we also have a weekly thing we're gonna do with the three of us. We talk about our personal gaming experiences a little bit. I didn't want you to forget the Game Informer plug.
KT's
No,
week
nothing
1.
PC on there. And
part one.
not KNOW.
Idiots. part 1, the women of Final Fantasy.
Ugh.
4 is a secret. I could tell you guys 1 through 3, but 4 is the secret.
All right, if you're listening to us on iTunes, thank you. Listening to us on Stitch Radio, thank you. This is us. We're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.
Wait.